Danny,
Yes,
how are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
Thanks for coming in, man.
Thanks for having me.
And that's how we opened.
Yeah.
I think that worked.
Yeah. So what were we just saying? We were talking about the past a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. So,
Right.
um, but no, I guess Danny, let's talk about you.
Yes.
Digital marketing consultant,
Sure.
right? That's your expertise.
Absolutely.
All right. So, yeah. How long have you been doing it?
Right.
Right. How long
Long
you've been doing it a long time, right?
Almost 2 decades.
Oh, okay.
2 decades. Started, I guess. Let's see, 1996.
Right.
So that's about 2 decades, right?
How'd you get in it?
Got lucky. Right out of college, I landed a job that kind of had to work the ladder. So started off real bottom level production artist, worked my way up.
Did you go to school for it?
Yeah, actually went to Hofstra University and studied design and marketing.
Right.
And so always had a knack for design was my biggest thing.
Right.
So I had a really strong background in graphic design, but moved into marketing and business because I felt like there was more opportunities
Right.
and to possibly use my design and marketing background and possibly one day open my own business. So first job out of school, got real lucky. My employer was married to one of the professors over at Hofstra, so I got a connection.
Nice.
And as you know, connections are everything, right? It's all
Basically,
about the network,
the relationships.
right?
That's
But
good.
from that took me to where I am today because I learned everything I needed to know to thrive in the digital world.
Back then,
Yes.
in 1996,
Mm-hmm.
I was still in college. I'm trying to figure out what was out there. What, like,
I'm not talking about technical skills. I'm talking about what it takes to be in this world.
okay, what's
I
that?
worked. Yep. It's aligning with the kind of people that understood digital marketing, where it was going, because I believe that anyone can learn skills, anyone can read books, learn Photoshop, learn different programming skills, things like that. But if you don't have the experience in working in the field with the right people, and I'm talking about some of the best creative writers, multimedia specialists, art directors, creative directors, you name it. First job I had, I'm extremely grateful for that because that really took me to where I am today.
Right.
So I basically worked hard. I mean, I knew that early stage, if I put my time in, that I'd eventually get more than just a skill, but also the experience that I needed to take it.
Right.
And so what had happened was I climbed the ladder and I realized at the top or close to the top that I could never make more money than my boss. So it was time to go on my own. I met someone at that job. We wound up going in business together. After 2 or 3 years of that business, I realized that I want to do this on my own. I was well prepared. Wasn't easy, but it was a decision that led me to today. So since that point, I've been on my own.
Wow. Okay. And that's been how many years now?
On my own, I would say that it would be 14 years.
Wow. Well, how did we? I know how we crossed path. I've been at the business on my side for quite a bit.
Right.
I think almost 20 years with no digital media presence for a bunch of it. This is kind of something that I'm getting thrown into, getting pulled into.
Right.
When I first started my business 10 years ago, I thought our website was just basically a business card.
Right.
Because most of my stuff is just relationship, which it still is. The key to the business is my relationship with my clients.
Absolutely.
And that's key for sure. But yeah, the website to me was like, hey, just a fancy business card. Where, as long as we had something out there, they knew I'm real and I'll continue to do business. And that's how I ran things for a while.
In a way, that's how it is for a lot of people still, believe it or not. They believe that, and what we say is a business card or a website is either a kind of just a fancy way of a brochure online, or it could be something so much more. As you know, websites can take a whole, there's so many different types of websites. But there are many companies that still just have a brochure-like website, which just has some very basic information about the company. But it's a way that to have a 24/7 operation where you can't necessarily be in front of that person handing out a card. Right. You can direct them to a website.
Yeah.
And so...
Well, I got advice a while, I guess going back a year. It's like, you never want to be a dinosaur. So once that person told me that, it was like, I got to start looking at the way I do things and try to do them better, and paying attention to the areas that, hey, the website. Let's start there first thing. All right, let me get that better. And then, I was in the office just networking around, and we came across you, and you came in the office, and you told me about what you did, and I think it took me a little while to get on board with what you were talking about. Right? It wasn't right. It wasn't like day one you walked in. All right, Danny, let's go and let's start doing stuff.
And it's okay because and in a way, I think that you still are somewhat still in that area, but I think you've come a long way in just a short period of time, because the one thing you don't want to do, or one thing I don't want to do, is sell you on something that you don't need. But I thought there was a huge opportunity to align and work with your firm, because one, you didn't have a presence online when I met you, and two, you were referred to me, and vice versa. I was referred to you because of other connections. And in my business, doing this for so long, I would say 90% of the clients that I work with are all referred to me.
That's the best type of business, right?
Best. I mean, and it's not that I won't take on a new client that comes to me and just, randomly finds me online or whatever. But to be honest, they don't last. I'm just going to tell you straight that, the thing is, in my field, it could take months or even longer to see a return on the investment that the client is making on their marketing.
Right.
And most businesses just don't understand that. They understand, I put out a print ad, I spend X amount of dollars, I expect this in return.
Right.
So a lot of the new clients that don't really know you, they'll ask you, okay, I gave you this. When and how much can I expect? And I said, it doesn't work like that.
Right.
Every business operates different. Every business sometimes takes time to learn what's going to respond, what's going to work. Strategies are need to be learned and understood. So anyway, getting back to what you said, it was a perfect time for me to say, this is a great business model. I love what the business that you're in. You were referred to me, so it was like, all right, this is an opportunity where I can leverage that relationship somewhat, and not tell Mike something that's smoke and mirrors, and say, hey, Mike, it's going to take some time. And I think we laid out an initial plan.
Yeah, I recognize
transparent from the beginning with you and say, hey, look, I can't.
You've gotten better over time.
Yeah.
I think we gotten better over time. I was going to say you, but I think we gotten better. The way I communicated in terms of where we were at, where we would like to go.
Absolutely.
And just seeing the whole thing work. It's been great.
My business is all about two things, and it's all about communication and expectations, because if you don't lay out those expectations from day one, it's going to come back and hurt.
See, my biggest thing it took me I think it was about a month or two till we decided to go for it.
Yeah.
Do I really need this? Right? Do I really need this?
You have to
at
believe
this
it.
Stage in my career, with my business, things were working fine, but I kind of want to be able to provide more.
Yeah.
In terms of my value to my customers and my clients and my friends and all my relationships.
Yeah.
So I figured I had to do things a bit differently, like I said. So
I agree.
When I came into our conversation, I kind of said, all right, where are we going to go from here? How are we going to do this?
Yeah.
And all the avenues. And because there's so much out there in terms of like what you could do and like the content and the strategies and what you have to do, so it gets confusing from a business owner who doesn't, I don't have time to pay attention to everything. Especially that part of it where I'm trying to do my day to day. So it's just hard to manage as one person.
It's something you're uncomfortable. It's not an area you're comfortable with. And as a business owner, it's very much understood. I was very patient and try to explain everything that, I would never take on a client if I didn't feel there was an opportunity to build it the way we said from day one. And I feel really confident that if we continue staying on that path, that you'll get what you want. I always said that there's no timeline as to when that will happen. However, a mentor in the past told me once that, and when I first met you, I knew exactly how you were operating, and it wasn't something that was you couldn't replicate it, meaning you're an extremely hard worker. You built a very successful business, but how do you get to the next level? Because you can only pass out so many cards and only spend 24 hours a day,
Right.
or else you're going to drop, right? So it's like, all right, well, what I was told many years ago, and this is what I found fascinating about the digital world, and I still believe this, is that once you go online and you can attract an audience on a large scale while you're sleeping, you can start fishing with a net rather than a pole. I always say that to everybody. I would never forgot that message, because think about it. You could be referred to me, great, and I could be the best client. But what if there's other clients that still fit that same characteristic, but they're not necessarily in front of you? If you had the proper tools to get to them, right, and build a relationship in a way that's a little bit different than you're doing now, is it possible that they can be part of your network, and is it possible that they can be part of a client?
Right.
And I felt yes.
Right. Now, can you talk about, like, specifically, like, the recruitment industry, staffing? That's what I've been doing my entire career. And I'm starting to pay attention to other firms that are doing it. Everyone's going, been doing social media for a lot longer than I have.
Sure.
People are starting to do live streaming.
Right.
I'm doing it to see where it goes, and I believe in the power of it.
Yeah.
Getting out there and kind of being genuine and getting out in front. Is this what needs to happen? I mean, is this where companies that want to compete in the market need to do, or is it some companies will, some companies won't? I mean, what's your take on that?
I firmly believe that every business, if there's opportunities to enhance their brand in a way where they can reach more people, I think that they'll be open to that concept. So digital media not only gives us the most cost-effective way of doing that, but it also allows us, like I said, to operate in a way where we're not replicating ourselves. We're putting ourselves out on a mass scale. Mm-hmm. Now, if everyone else is doing it, I always felt that that's okay, right, as long as you're doing it not necessarily different, but to your audience. Remember, right, we mentioned that the other day, is that your audience knows, likes, and trusts you. So even though there's a lot of noise out there, when they're focused on what you have to say, and if they have a relationship brand, right, mm-hmm, with your business and you, then you're only speaking to them. So absolutely. I believe that digital marketing and social media, I mean, it's the opportunity is tremendous. And certainly I believe all businesses should be operating on digital.
Right. And then the branding thing too, as well as what can you talk about in terms of branding, yeah, the importance of it from a company standpoint? Yeah. Take my company for example, and kind of talk about that.
Yeah.
Like, how important is it to get the brand out, and what do we do exactly? What are the steps?
Well, I think it's important to understand what brand is, because I think that it's interesting. Over the years, I asked the same question. You get 10 responses of what brand really is. And it's interesting because most people will probably say it's a logo. And it makes me like cringe. I'm like, logo, brand. No, what it is a brand is a relationship that you have with that audience. So think of the most successful brands in the world. And it's not only a logo, but it could be a voice. It could be a feeling, an emotion. It's a relationship that you have with your audience. So think about the most successful brands and where your purchase decisions are made today, right? Now, can you randomly surf the web and find something you love and just purchase it? Sure. But if you were going out to buy sneakers, would you buy from a company you don't know or from a company you do know? And why do you know that company? It's because they do good branding, good brand awareness. Right. They put out commercials, they have the the relationship with their audience, they know exactly how to speak to their audience in a way where it's targeted, and that's what brand is. So in terms of your business and where you're going, we felt right that from day one we need to establish ourselves and lock down our brand position. Because when I first met you, you cover a lot of areas in staffing, right? I mean, you still can and you still do serve, right? However, when you have so much, a lot of the potential clients may be looking at that and maybe have a specific need. And so I asked you where 80% of your, business is, or where you want it to be. I think you mentioned tech.
Right.
And I firmly believed that you're in the right place right now at the right time.
Right.
Digital tech is exploding, as we know.
Right.
So that's why I said,
and it was, when we,
well, that's what we did.
it made me realize too, like when we started talking, I got, there were a couple of my clients that I went out to, they didn't know me as a technology recruiter.
It's okay.
But I'm like, that's all I've been mainly doing for a while. I mean, we have other parts of the business that I cover as well.
Right.
But it was just, to me, it just caught my, it caught my attention. Like, oh wow, my customers don't even know exactly what I do because I haven't got stuff out there. So that was.
But that's exactly what we've been pushing out, as much as anything from content to messaging to. Go ahead.
No, there's so much to do in every angle of it, right? I know what I do in terms of the things that I have to get done during the day. Building a team around you, right?
Yeah.
I'm recognizing that to be like a real important part of the piece here in terms of getting the right people on your team in positions where they could really kind of contribute to the whole, right?
Yes.
Right now, as I'm growing, I'm recognizing it in marketing, sales, and recruiting, and other aspects as well. So, how have you done it with your teams, and how do you build a team like that? And over time.
Well, that's a great question, because finding good talent is not always the easiest thing, right? A lot of different types of people I've met, a lot of different skill sets over the years. I think that I'm always trying to be focused on people that want to treat the business like I would. And so I always ask what their background is and where they want to see themselves, in the next 5 to 10 years. And kind of get an idea of, what more about them than their skill. Because I think, like I said earlier, that most people can learn a skill. But if someone is going to do this part-time because they have other plans, that might not be a good thing for the business owner, because they're putting their time and investment into training them or building them into their team and thinking, oh my God, this is the greatest candidate or employee. But next thing you know, they're off doing other things. So, how do I build my team? Just like anyone else, through referrals. Over the years, I've had to go through a lot of different people. And I've been, successful in areas where, most people might have gave up and say, hey, you're never going to find someone better than you, but you always want to focus on people that are better than you, because you can't do it on your own. And so it's been a struggle over the years trying to find the right people. But I do have a very strong group of talent that surrounds me and makes me feel comfortable at night going to sleep saying, hey, that's going to get done tomorrow morning,
I know we when we speak, we definitely have a positive outlook on like things and values and where things are going and stuff like that, and the challenges and stuff. I've been looking at the challenges a lot lately in like the market and the workforce as kind of like a motivational factor of like, all right, what can I do better today?
Right.
In whatever I'm doing. So, even when I'm, getting my kids ready and, what can I make their breakfast a little quicker so that I could get them out the door better. And I translate that all the way to the office and into my dealings of like, all right, where, can I have a deeper conversation with my client or candidates to uncover some information that might help me towards this? And I'm trying to pay attention to like things that are out there in like, social media, LinkedIn, tools, and trying to, again, there's so much out there.
Yeah.
But like I'm trying to pick apart these things, and that keeps me motivated. I'm so optimistic about the future where things are going. And I think technology has definitely allowed me to kind of manage and organize all this stuff. Could be being all the things that are used that are easier. So I feel like we do have to like get better every day in terms of what we do and evolve. And we have all these things.
Absolutely.
And
I mean, you just said it right. You hit it right on the head. I mean, it's the attitude every day, right? You come in with an open. I mean, we're not all going to have great days, right? But having the right attitude and trying to at least do something positive, learn something new, or just starting a day off on the right way, the right way is always the best way to approach. I mean, that's what I think that you and I get along in that respect.
I've been getting better. I've been getting better as I get older in terms of the down days, right? There's sometimes where, when you want things and they don't go the way you want, then you get like, you could beat yourself up. And I've learned over time that you kind of just have to let them go quickly. It's easier said than done, but it's like anything else. It's like going to the gym. Like once you make that habit of like, all right, this is just another part of the process where, we didn't get the right client we wanted, or we didn't get the right candidate, or, there's not enough, the searching, the hard work that goes involved with recruiting. I don't think enough people realize there's a lot of work involved where it's just, grinding and going through, having conversations, networks, tools, there's things out there, and it's just a lot. And some people are, could with that get unfocused, or there's things that could kind of set you aside.
Well, certainly. I mean, and again, technology is moving so fast that it is easy to get sidetracked.
Right.
And that happens a lot. But I believe, as I've been telling you, to stick to the strategy and be focused. So you could always learn new tools. You could always learn new things. But if you stick to that strategy, that's what's going to take you to the next level.
Let me talk about strategy, because I'm seeing it, from LinkedIn too. I think that's the in terms of my business, definitely the platform where everyone is going to, and I see it. LinkedIn's been around for a while. I mean, from the beginning, I was on the platform, and I've seen the growth of it, and I'm seeing so many more people in it. But I'm feeling lately there's been an increased push in terms of just like, this is the, where is it going to? Are we already late? I know, they haven't pushed live yet. I think they just started doing beta on, LinkedIn Live. I know Gary V, did his first one, and it was, pretty cool to watch and see how that goes. And he talks about just speed to it, and he has a different business than mine,
he's
or whatever.
A full blown out entrepreneur, where he's always speed to the first thing out, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but again, that might be taking us away from our strategy, because again, getting to the first place and then getting to the next first place is always going to take you and distract you from where you're trying to go initially. Not necessarily going to be it is not. Look, the shiny objects are great, right? I'm all for it. I'm an entrepreneur by heart. But if you skip around and follow those trends, you do fall short, and sometimes in following that and sticking to a strategy, in my opinion.
Right. And another thing I've been paying attention to and hearing is content. Content's king, right? I hear that a lot.
Yeah.
So what makes good content? Like I'm trying to, everyone is different.
Right.
I know what I'm interested in. There's a lot of people that I follow out there that most of they're like, business minded, or trying to self-improve with work, or industry leaders in terms of just getting better. That's who I follow. And but good content. How does someone get good content out there? Is it just something you have, or something you learn, create? I mean,
nowadays you see like the craziest ideas become good content, right? So this is content. So can this speak to someone? Does someone get value from our conversation? Then that's content. You happen to surf the web and you see some crazy viral video. That's content. In terms of, your business and how content works well, is that we can fine tune the audience and based on exactly who we're trying to speak to, and then draft and create content around like more of a holistic, meaning we can, because think about it, like in your business, right? How many different topics can we talk about, right?
It could be ongoing.
Right? And there's always like current events and something happening. And so there's really, you never fall short on ideas or things you can speak about, you can video about, you can podcast about. In terms of content, yes. This is why I love content. All the things I said are true in terms of, you can continue pushing content. But what I love about content, especially online, is that content, if it's done right, can be long-term. We call evergreen, right? So if you have content that you put out today that appeals to the same audience 10 years from today, well, guess what? That content still stays online and they can see that, right? They can share that. They can, interact with it. So if you have a strong content strategy that is built around evergreen, then you really never fall short on audience building and potential leads, right, for your business. Again, going back to what we said, content strategies are difficult in the beginning because people like to look at what you're doing and see that you haven't really done a whole lot.
Yeah.
So once you get to the point where you start to fill the pages and this puzzle's starting to build, then you can become more of a serious player in what you're doing, right? And that's why it takes time, right? And you're at that turning point, I believe, right now, where we've produced enough content that you're getting the eyeballs.
Well,
I see it. The audience is building.
Yeah.
I mean, it's happening.
I've been enjoying just the kind of the interaction that we have in terms of putting stuff out there. Some of the stuff I write, some of the stuff that you dictate, and or I dictate to you, and then we get writers on it, and my ideas get pushed out there, which I enjoy coming up with some stuff, and I definitely see well, I don't pay attention too much to it, but I definitely look at the views, who's viewing it, watching it, but I'm enjoying where this whole process is, and it's starting to make me think, all right, what else do I really want to get out there in terms of what do I know? What's
and a lot of the things you mentioned are just more focused on just the social mentions. I know a lot of times when you say views and audience, it's social, right? And absolutely, you talked about LinkedIn is critical, but again, having a strong network because putting content out is great, but you got to be able to connect it with all the various networks. And what's very important is the website itself, because search marketing is extremely important. I mean, think about it. When you're looking for something, right? Are you using platforms? Do you go online? Do you search on your phone? People do. And the thing is that we have tools that tell us exactly what they're doing, when they're searching, what they're searching for, so we can design a plan and a strategy around content more outside of social, but more web-based. And so that also helps build brand, because again, if you start searching online for terms that are related to what you offer and your name keeps popping up, if it doesn't get a click through or a call, it doesn't make it a bad thing, because your name's there. Your name's there over and over and over. And that's why it's important to continue to build content around your website, because that's what drives search marketing.
Now, you have all this good knowledge, and I'm listening to you. Do you read books? How do you get better? How are you going to get better at what you do? Because it seems that you have a lot of the broad ideas, and you have the experience and stuff. What's driving you? How are you going to get better at what you do? Because things are changing, evolving. What does Danny do to get better at what?
Well,
marketing?
That's interesting, because the one thing I don't like doing is talking about myself, because my business is not about me. It's about what we just said before: team building and finding better people than me that can manage the business, where I can feel confident to sit here for 5 hours and my clients are still being worked on. Right? So in terms of me getting better, it's trying to be like you and everyone else, a better communicator, better listener, trying to not necessarily the digital strategies. It's just having the creative mindset. It's just something that I know what works. I understand people. I understand marketing in a way that if you told me your business model and kind of what you're looking to do, I may suggest doing it one or two ways based on just experience and calculated risk. I already know what may or may not work in today's world. I'm not always right, but as a consultant, I can say, hey, look, this worked for this business at this time. Again, expectations up front.
So how do you keep your engine going? This is I want to get down to
I drive.
you know, I mean, do you, like what's your
Yeah, what's my focus?
what's your daily habit? Like, are you waking up? Are you waking up 4:30 a.m.? Are you running like 4 or 5 miles, eating good breakfast, going to the gym?
Right.
You know, getting
No,
on a client call at 8 o'clock. You know, calling me at like 8:01. Like,
you know,
what's going on there?
most of what I do is like the creative. I have a creative mind, so it's not always creative on 9 to 5, as you know. I could wake up at 3 in the morning with an idea, and I'll write it down.
I've been loving texting you at night. Sometimes I just have an idea, and
You
right?
do.
I do a lot. Right?
Yeah. Which is fine. It's just totally.
I forgot
fine.
the last one we mentioned. It was what was one of the last ones I mentioned? There are a lot of random ones out there.
My best ideas come at random times, so I can't say that I have a routine necessarily. However, you know, I do try to start the day and get as much work done early. Because I like to do more of the phone calls and staying with my clients during their work hours, where I'm not necessarily behind a computer and just like working. However, if there's a deadline and something needs to be done, and I'm on it, or I have to oversee and manage it, it could be day or night.
Right.
You know, that's how it works. Now, I've always loved that lifestyle,
Right.
Because you know.
Do you break away from? Do you like? I find that
I try.
You do break away.
More so than I used to.
Right.
I try. I believe that work-life balance is definitely something that's very important. I'm trying to do more of it. Do I exercise? I used to, but not anymore. And I'm getting back into it. But
Nice.
I'll lean on you for that. I know that you're more of the buff than me.
Well, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I have a routine. I try to stick to my routine.
Well, that's good.
You know, even if I have good days or bad days, I just try to make the routine a habit.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I feel like it keeps me on track. I don't have
I agree.
the best days, but at least if I have some sort of plan, objective, I know if I'm hitting it or not. I think sometimes I can have the worst day at work, but at least I know I went to the gym. I did one thing for myself.
Yeah.
At the end of the night, when I go down to sleep, sometimes I'm like, oh, it was a horrible day. Nothing didn't work. I mean,
Right.
no placements. The person didn't get get the job, or missed interviews. And then I said, well, at least I went to the gym and I felt good with that. So at least I have one thing that I did for myself, and that's why I try to keep that as a habit. But I'm not perfect, and it's every day is something different.
I love what I do, and I do what I love. You know, it's like I can't. You know, but I do understand that there has to be that balance. And in this world, you can get caught up because, like you said before. Yeah. You know, researching new technologies, surfing the web, and seeing different things happening. You want to always stay on top of your game and learn new things.
Right. You might like they talk about
read
like
books,
just.
You know.
I mean, you're. I mean, how many hours a day do you spend on social media, on LinkedIn? I mean.
Well,
on your phone, probably it has to be a lot in your world.
I'm always trying to.
I know it's a lot for me.
Yeah, I try to focus 80% of my time. Like, you know, I don't know if it's exactly 80, but let's say most of my time on income producing activities. Because if you could sit there and surf the web, and you can get caught up, and the day's gone, and you say, what did I do today to actually move my business along, to make a sale, to, you know, build a relationship with a new client, to build a relationship with an existing client. What did I do today that helped me on that path?
I like that.
Yeah, and so that's why I wake up early. I get my hardcore work done that I know that I just can't take any calls. Right. And it's really early. So this way, you know, most of the day I can do these things.
Yeah, I have the same mindset. Like, what can I do today that might better my tomorrow?
Yeah.
That's my mindset. Like, just what can I do today to generate some type of income or something, even if I'm laying the groundwork. Yeah. Doing something a little bit better, right?
But you try to at least, you know, have the right attitude.
And that keeps you going too when things don't exactly work out the way they don't. And a lot of times you have to work through that. So that's a good attitude to have.
Well, it's also important that you have something that you believe in too. That beyond business and working on different causes and different things that are beyond business.
Right.
I believe that helps me attract people to what I do, because
I've been looking at that as well, like values. Like,
yes.
Let's go back to the basics. Like, you have to be grounded in some sort of what's important, right? Like,
what's important to you?
Right.
Is it making money, or is it something bigger than money? What's the money going to afford you? And I like to know what that is, because if we're on the same path, then we can do a lot of good things together.
Yeah. I agree.
which I feel like that you and I we connected well.
Yeah.
And you know, that's so.
That's okay. Cool. Awesome. How long have we been going? I'm just curious. Have we been rolling here for a bit, or it's just
37 minutes.
Are we? Is
37?
it,
No,
we
we
all
could-
right? We're
we could-
doing.
Yeah, we were fine.
As far as do we any more direct content for recruiting or?
I would kind of see if you could transition and start talking about your business, the type of people that you require,
Okay.
and then you can start bringing in your expertise.
Okay.
All right. In terms of your team, in terms of the people that you assemble to get work done for a particular client, what are the types of talent that you actually bring in?
Over the years, I've had employees, I've had subcontractors. I still have subcontractors today. Outsource large teams.
Are they developers?
Yeah.
Writers?
Well,
I mean, what's
all
what's,
the above? Writers, developers, different specialists in different areas, and so I wouldn't say that I have or have had just one, but I've had a lot of experience working with different types. So certainly, you know, right now I would say that most of my business, a lot of the programming teams are outsourced.
Okay.
But they're more dedicated, I would say. So it's not like a true outsource, like project by project, but it's more dedicated outsource where they're actually getting a fee, regardless if work comes in or not. So it is in a way.
Now, when we say outsourced, are they outsourced? Are they physically here in the United
No.
States, or they could be abroad or anywhere? It's
Both.
like both. Okay.
Yeah. So outsource, in the States and out.
What's your experience been with that?
Well, it's again it depends. Okay, because if you're using websites like WeWork or things like that actually lead you to, there are ways to find better talent. I always like asking again through the referrals. Anyone work with this type of talent that can direct, or I don't like going on these websites to find different types of talent to do a project or to retain if I don't have a relationship, just like with my business. So I've used it in a pinch, but you got to really do your homework, and you got to check out the reviews, check out their work, see their portfolio, what they've done. I'm also part of some really strong groups on social media that are dedicated. I actually have a mastermind group of dedicated people like myself. So it's kind of, for me,
How does one get into this mastermind group? You haven't asked me
can't
yet.
get in, Mike.
Oh boy, I got work to do.
Well, the thing is anybody can get in,
Right.
but it's really more dedicated and focused on my core, strategy and digital.
Right.
And these are very close contacts of mine. So a lot of these people, in a pinch, if you need someone to cover a project and you have to outsource, then we could call upon that group as well. Or, and again, like you said, what types? I mean, it could be writers, graphic designers, multimedia programmers, all different types of back end. I've even worked in data science. We've done some stuff, data mining, a lot of lead generation. So different types of people for different, to fill different roles.
Right.
So, how that, works with you. I mean, so in terms of in your business, in terms of finding the right people.
Yeah, I mean, I've been finding the right people.
Well,
Specifically to my business is it's kind of simple. I think we spoke about it in length, where I have several clients that I've catered through the years, and it's very kind of, hey, we need this, find that. So a lot of my, very similar to you, is my network, right? So that's where I go to. I go to my referrals in terms of people who I know who might know other people, and then kind of using that and trying to uncover the talent that might be right. So it's kind of similar. It's similar, but it's a bit different, where I have to, my net's a bit larger, where I have all these different tools that I also incorporate into my business to find that right person. Right. And there's a lot of work behind that, that goes into the kind of the qualifying of certain people, and just kind of pinpointing the exact match. That's where, as you know, when you're doing a project and you're going to be, you probably have dedicated resources that could attack a certain project, and then you'll know.
I do.
Right?
Yeah.
They're always available on hand, like to kind of get things out pretty much, right?
Yeah, especially my dedicated team, because I never know when I'm going to get hit with some random project that, may not have the resources or the bandwidth, let's say, to approach that job, and you already have you're full.
Right.
But that's not never the
See,
case.
I have two separate sides of my business, because one's a more of a direct hire type model, and more on the other side is consulting. So when I'm talking about the direct hire, it's that business. We're constantly at it, and we do have referrals to do that. But once you find that person usually there for a while. You can't call on them. All you could do is use their expertise and maybe their network, dive into their network to find resources for something else that I'm working on.
Well, when I was years ago, when it was more full time and we had dedicated employees working, it was more about the culture and trying to figure. Yes, the skills. We always like to train our people. So someone coming in that needed some assistance or training on a particular skill, we felt that it was more important to find the fit in the culture. Like if they didn't gel,
right?
They come in late, or they have lunch by themselves, and everybody likes to do lunchtime or something like that. Not that we did lunchtime. But you know what I mean? Culture is probably, I mean, at least when I was in that world where we had, dedicated staff on site. It was all about that. You never wanted someone that just was the oddball out.
Right.
Right. Because you want if everyone's not, if these are positive people and then someone's negative, it just doesn't work.
Right.
So I think that, and you know this too, because this is part of your business, is understanding your client, their needs, what fits. So it's not just getting the candidate right for you and the resume. It's actually understanding and really getting deep into understanding if they're the right fit for the culture.
For the culture, right?
Absolutely.
And and the culture does change and shift depending on the business.
I think so. Yeah.
Model as well. Sometimes.
Yeah, I believe.
I mean, that happens over time. You'll see that. I see that with companies quite a bit, where depending on where they're at in terms of their journey, in terms of where they're, if they're the startup, and then they move to
and you can never be 100% right. I mean, but you could always get closer to the more you understand your client, their needs, the soft skills and the hard skills that are required to get the right person.
Right. Nice.
Right. So
it's good stuff, man. That's good.
Are we getting lunch?
Are we gonna? I thought we were getting Uber Eats or something. No, I don't. Have you used Uber Eats yet?
I have. Yeah.
You have.
Yeah.
What do you order from Uber Eats? McDonald's,
Digital.
Mickey D's.
I just ordered Uber Eats the other day. We got Pit Stop. You ever hear of Pit Stop?
Never heard of Pit Stop.
They're a small franchise. But they deliver the best Subway sandwiches
Is that
and
right?
wraps. Yeah.
Nice.
Uber Eats.
Yeah, I never done that before. Maybe
It's pretty good. It's a great service. I mean, again, technology, right?
Have you guys used it at all?
Oh yeah.
No, you have.
I use it all the time.
Do you?
You're speaking to a millennial. Come on.
Right.
Do you have any apps on your phone? I mean, sorry.
Right.
So, just speaking about that real quick is that, I'm smart enough to know that what I would say kids, but what people are learning in college or getting, maybe not even in college, maybe just self-taught. The younger generation and the speed in which they're learning, right? How to use technology to transform a business or whatever it may be. How to create videos on their own with their iPhone or whatever. They're accelerating at a speed that you and I can't keep up with. So I realized that although I had the skills and the strategy, that I have to find people that are better than me.
Absolutely.
Or else I'm dead.
Right.
Because I know everyone's replaceable.
Right.
In terms of if you're looking for a specific
or better, or maybe complement you in the ways that where you can't pick
when
up.
I say replaceable, I mean for a task or a skill because you could find someone that's younger with more experience, that's today's technology that can give you at a much affordable rate.
And I have to bring it back in terms of my business, and I've seen it, kind of transform and where I'm at.
Yeah.
A lot different than where I started. I was at a baseball game this past weekend, and I was told, by a family member that someone in my family just graduated school, and she's going to be this technical recruiter for a company out in Boston. And I instantly was like, wow, people are still getting into this field, and she's going to do great. She's a competitive person. I know,
But the
her,
work that's involved.
but I know the challenges that this like that she faces, because I've done it. But it also
done it.
it got me motivated. Actually, when I heard that, I'm like, okay, wait, she's going to be getting up, 5 o'clock in the morning, getting ready for work, getting out there, getting into these meetings. Because I remember what I had to
Not
do.
everybody has that, though.
Right, but she's getting involved and she's starting her career, and I'm thinking, all right, I got to get better now. Now, okay, so that gave me more kind of like inspiration, where there's people coming into my field, and there's still an avenue for recruitment, and there's still people trying to figure it out. And I've kind of went through this journey, and I've kind of figured some things out, and some other things I'm still trying to figure out and staying on top of the game. And that's I get up every morning trying to figure out what I could do. Like I said earlier, I repeat it. If I could do things a little bit better, I'm going to be that much further towards my goal.
Yeah.
My goals might change, but at least I have some sort of path and direction of where I'm trying to go. And
yeah, I believe the industry
awesome.
is. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised that your field and your area is not growing. I mean, think about, like we talked about technology. I mean, I don't have the exact statistics, but I mean, startups are constantly launching.
Right.
I mean, I know that because I get a lot of calls from different businesses opening up, wanting to start, a brick and mortar store or whatever it may be. Right. But everyone wants their own business. Everybody wants to supplement income. Everyone wants, the beauty of being an entrepreneur. Everyone has an idea today.
What does
right?
that mean? Right.
Yeah, but my point is that look at what Silicon Valley did. Now look at where Brooklyn, what's happening now, right?
Right.
And this next wave. But do you know how many opportunities that it will exist? So, for example, that person that you mentioned, they don't need to have 1,000 clients. You just need 1 or 2, maybe
right.
3 good ones, right? I always say, like a table, right? If it's got 3 legs, it could still stand. 4, now you got some foundation, right?
Right.
But 2, it might fall down.
Right.
So they don't need every
No,
client,
you just
but
need
there's
work on your relationships, because you have them at
there's plenty of opportunities
early on. Just recognize it, and just they're everywhere. I remember just being out there, and whatever I did, I was pitching. I'm a recruiter. This is what I do. I could help you staff. I could do this.
I know what you did, because I know you by now. You
right.
built relationships, and
Right.
you were authentic and genuine, and people do business with those. They know, like, and trust. Everybody knows that.
Right.
And that's why you're still with the same clients for many years, and more than likely you'll continue to be with them. And hopefully we go into other areas now.
Well, this is one of the points, I think, of this, right? Streaming and getting some live out there, just to kind of.
You want to touch on any of the data science stuff that you're starting to go into? I mean,
Well, data science is obviously I think companies are just getting more involved with that. There's a whole big field of it, which I can't speak to its entirety of the importance of it, but I see where trying to make sense of all this stuff, right? How do we make sense of this and drive revenue or profit to a business? That's what I think they're all trying to figure out. And you got some great minds behind it. Lots, these are top, like, PhDs, mathematicians, statistics. Those are the people who are really at the
cream of the crop.
They're the forefront of it. If you go to a university, who are the smartest, students? They're the mathematicians. They're the statistics
Engineers.
people. Engineers, right?
Yeah,
They're all,
data science.
those types of people. Mm-hmm. And I think that's that's an interesting area of work that I'm just tapping into, because I could recognize the need. I could see the importance. So that's kind of driving me into, like, that world. And I have some of my network is there, and kind of you just hear about these what they're doing and how they're doing it, and trying to figure it out. So it's
sometimes
pretty cool.
It's not about it. It's just a small, like a pivot, like a little bit.
Right.
Sometimes you're in the space where you want to be, but you see an opportunity, and I think I'm sure you would agree that an existing client. It's much harder to get a new client than having an existing client, let's say, upsell, or not upsell, but offer something that maybe you didn't have today that you have tomorrow now. Right. So because they already trust you, say, hey, all right, we'll try you out on a project. Look, if you could fill this talent, if you find, but building your network and going into areas that you may not have been before, or you're getting better at, or building bigger networks and stronger networks, it's just going to give you a more opportunity to go after existing and new, right? And build those areas.
I'm
'cause
looking
there's
for,
huge
I
opportunities.
definitely, where my interests lie more in the recruitment space is definitely, on the technology side, but it's also like pushing the boundaries of what we're working on, right? Maybe to the demise of the human race. I don't know. That's up for debate.
Yeah.
Maybe we could, there's,
I don't know.
but who knows? Maybe we're speeding that up by finding the right talent for that. But that's where I like to be, because it's just really, just kind of figuring out like those minds of just trying to figure things out, and just doing it better, quicker, just adapting. Like that's just change. Everything's always changing. So you want to be right in the mix, right?
Yeah.
Trying to figure things out. And that's how I think you learn the most,
Yes,
so.
I agree.
Oh, cool. Excellent. I think we did a good job. Hey, buddy, thanks for coming in. Let's do this again.
Awesome.
All right?
Yes.
Cool.